Yo, what's good, YouTube? Hey, listen. So y'all know I did the deadly drink, right? But this says this the drink that started the war. I'm curious because that shit was wild yesterday. Let's hop into it.
It's now live from the scene. Amanda, you've been there all morning. What are local residents telling you?
Well, they're telling me that they saw around 100 young people, teenagers they think, gathered out on this street after this party finished. The police came here on a routine patrol and they discovered this large group that dispersed when they saw them, and it was then that they discovered this 15-year-old boy with stab wounds to his chest.
Do you have a sense of where this north versus south conflict in the borough begins and why?
Well, I spoke to a man who's in his 30s, and he came to see me with someone within the community, and it was fascinating listening to him just telling about how it started with Stephen Lewis all those many years ago.
I'm perceived as a violent person on these streets in East London.
Yeah, Young Dennis, yo, he was making me mad, bro.
You're in
Like
East London, you don't know me.
the lyrics.
I'm perceived as violent as it gets out here.
Could be the devil and that.
Yeah, the devil.
It's just
that's
another
what
name
they
for me,
say.
innit? Devil.
And my uncles are all involved in the gangs, everything, man. They've all been through the gang stuff. Like, all I know, that when I was growing up, all I knew was gang, gang, gang. You know what I'm saying?
Oh shit, they out here straight GTA.
Johnson, why are you naked? Because my t-shirt sucks. Look at Gibson. He's wearing a true classic tee.
Straight out here.
100 times. What? Free the 7, free the 7, free the Mandem.
Maludi says,
Wait.
her brother.
Free the... Free CB. 100 times. What? Free the 7, free the 7, free the Mandem.
Is it like
Maludi
3-on-1?
says her brother Promise always stayed out of trouble. So far, the family
Oh, he
have
creeping, they
lost
creeping,
information
they creeping,
on what
they creeping.
exactly happened to him.
Ooh!
CJ and his friends were in this playground on Monday the 4th of September. At about 3 o'clock, a silver Range Rover came in from this road here. The occupants got out and started shooting indiscriminately at the group. A 17-year-old boy was shot in the leg and 14-year-old CJ was shot in the head.
So we got to talk about the war in Newham. Now, a lot of you might be familiar with this situation, but whether you are or not, today I want to get down to the origins of this story and see how this war came about, which has seen numerous casualties and a number of high
remember this video.
murders. A lot
Reacted
of them
to that
being
video on my main
children, even
channel.
as young
Go
as just
check it out.
the age of 14 years old. What makes this a lot worse though is some of these murders have gone unsolved. But for anyone who doesn't know this situation, Newham is located in East London and it's divided into North Newham and South Newham, with members involved in this ongoing dispute labelling it as Northside Newham versus Southside Newham. In Northside Newham there's 5 main gangs which are from 4 different postcodes located in different areas in Newham. Postcodes for any of my viewers from outside of the UK are pretty much the same thing as a zip code. So E13 is located in Plaistow and is home to the Chad Green Estate, or CGE for short. E15 is located in Stratford and is home to the Broadway, Abbey Road and Church Street estates, and as a collective they go by 15. Another E15 gang, again located in Stratford, is home to the Alma Street estate and they go by M15. E12 is located in Manor Park and is home to the Little Ilford estate and they go by
Like,
Manor
why
Park.
you got this
And
little
finally,
corner?
we have E7, which is located in Forest
Okay, they
Gate,
took
and this is home to
primary
both the
school,
Wood Grange
okay.
and Blackwater Close estates, and they would go as the 7th. The Wood Grange area has also
Have you
been
noticed?
Gaza,
Look, hold on, let's take it back.
and they go by Manor Park. And
They stop at every school area. Look at this. Learning zone. Then they just go straight out. Okay. Cemetery, you cut off right there, go back up the street. Alright. I'm trying to figure out, like, you got this whole spot. What's right there? Z and V. Siren. And then you got the nursery. I like the, I mean, you know, it's not, oopsie, nursery. Oh, this is a driving school. I'm glad they, you know, eliminate the school zones. Like, jeez.
Park, and is home to the Little Ilford estate, and they go by Manor Park. And finally we have E7, which is located in Forest Gate, and this is home to both the Woodgrange and Blackwater Close estates, and they would go as the 7th. The Woodgrange area has also been dubbed Gaza, which is supposed to be a comparison to the Gaza Strip in the Middle East. The reason for the nickname is likely due to how much violence has occurred there over the years. There's also other gangs that have alliances to Northside Newham, but for context of the video, I'll be leaving them out. So to recap, Northside Newham is made up of primarily 5 separate gangs, that being CGE, 15th, M15, Manor Park and 7th. Now, I'm not going to label every rapper from Northside Newham, and the same will go for Southside Newham because there's quite a few of them, but some notable artists from Northside Newham would be CB, YCB, Yanko, Whoosh, Broad Day, S13 and J Hus. So a lot of you might not be aware of J Hus's involvement in the war, but if you didn't know, an incident occurred back in 2015 that is definitely notable. There is other situations as well, but I'd say the incident that happened in 2015 is definitely the most notable out of everything that's been documented. Here he was stabbed 5 times by a rival gang member and was hospitalized. And as you can see here, he's throwing up a C with a gun finger in reference to his rivals in Southside Newham. We'll take a look into that story another time though, because today we'll be looking at the origins of the war. So Southside Newham mainly consists of 3 gangs which are from 2 different postcodes located in different areas in Newham. E6 is located mainly around Savage Gardens in Beckton, however the gang has spread all over the E6 postcode and they go by the name 6th or ACG, which stands for Anyone Can Go. E16 is located in Custom House and is home to the Freemasons Road estate and various other areas of Custom House, and they go by their area name Custom House. E16 is also located in Canning Town and is home to several estates which all go by the name CT, which is short for their area name Canning Town. There are also other gangs that have alliances to Southside Newham, but again for context I'll be leaving them out of this video. So to recap, Southside Newham is made primarily of 3 separate gangs, that being 6th or ACG, Custom House and CT or Canning Town. Some notable rappers would be Young Diz, AB, D-Sav, Striker, Kojo Funds, Castro, and 2 members who aren't rappers but are well known within the scene are the Terrible Twins, and these 2 are
they was in the last video.
S Twin and H Twin, or Twin S and Twin H. If you want to know more information on why those guys are so known in the scene, go check my throwback case I did covering their backstories. I will leave it linked down in the description below. So the origins of this story date back to around 2008 because getting into too many specifics could take us back further. Now, from people who I've spoke to who were involved in the ongoing dispute from the origins have told me that originally, believe it or not, the issues were more personal rather than it being Northside Newham versus Southside Newham like we know today. Mainly it had been people from Custom House having personal issues with various different people from different parts of the borough, and I've been told that Custom House even used to be people from Beckton. As you guys know, Custom House and Beckton today are linked up with each other to make Southside Newham, but I'll explain how the beef between the 2 sides calmed down towards the end of the video. Custom House also had issues with other people, which they still continue to be today, with the likes of people from Plaistow and Stratford. So around that time, I've been told that Custom House were linked up with Maryland, Portuguese Mafia and Canning Town, some of which they're still linked up with today. Again, like I said earlier on in the video, some gangs are still affiliated with the ongoing war, but for context of the video, I'm leaving them out. So with all the personal beefs that Custom House was having with various other people from different parts of the borough, it all came to a head in early 2008 at Britannia Village. It's been said that a boy from Stratford had tried to rob someone's chain from Custom House, and Major, who will become more relevant as the story goes on, had intervened in this situation. The person from
I feel
Custom
like I've
House
seen
who
him
nearly got
yesterday.
robbed
He was in my
hadn't
video.
actually been involved with Major and his lot, but because they were from the same area, I've been told that Major wasn't going to stand for it. A short while later, in a related incident, it's believed that a brawl had taken place, which resulted in someone getting stabbed, and then someone from Custom House had pulled out a firearm and was about to shoot someone from Forest Gate, but a neutral individual intervened to stop anything more from happening. But because of these two situations, it had stopped being a more personal beef, and this is where we would start to see the areas form more properly, to where they would go on and beef each other as a collective. Remember, at this time, it wasn't separated into North versus South though, because Custom House still had issues with Beckton. So we now need to fast forward the story from early 2008 to the summer of the same year, and we're now introduced to 15-year-old Stephen Lewis, who goes by the name Captain Rockets. Stephen Lewis was from Plaistow E13, and was a part
That's
of
when
the
they started
Plaistow
going
Mandem
body for
gang,
body.
who now go as CGE, or the Chad Green Estate. It said that Stephen attended Lister Community School and was a popular teenager who was well liked in his preteen years, but once his parents had split up, it said that he, quote, started to go off the rails, and it was then he became involved with the local gang. Describing the gang, one local boy at the time told the Daily Mail newspaper, quote, "They rush you if they see you on your own, and they pat you down for your phone and steal your money." By the late summer, early autumn of 2008, it's believed that Stephen at this point had been expelled from school and had ended up spending some time in jail for a robbery. It's unsure exactly when this happened, but either just before he went into jail or whilst he was in jail, he had got into an altercation with either Canning Town or Custom House gang members and had actually been stabbed in the buttocks. Upon getting released from jail at some point in 2008, Newham Council would actually place Stephen in a care home in Blackpool to move him away from Newham. In January of 2009 though, he had run away and returned to Plaistow. But because of this exact event, what would take place over the following weeks, change followed, which is still continuing up until today. So the timeline is still in January of 2009, and according to reports, they claim that in the weeks leading up to the event, which we're about to take a look into, the Plaistow Mandem, now known as CGE, had made trips to their rival territories, what we would now call Turin Op Block. It's believed that they had beat and stabbed rival gang members from Custom House. On the 23rd of January 2009, reports claim that 2 teenagers were shot and 3 others were stabbed during gang battles that had been pre-arranged. They don't claim who was injured from each gang, but again it's believed that the issues had came from beef between Custom House and the Plaistow Mandem. The following day, on the 24th of January 2009, One World Foundation Africa, which is a charity dedicated to helping young people escape from a life of poverty and crime, had held an event at St Ked's Hall on Foster Road in Plaistow. It was being labelled as a back-to-school charity disco that was supposed to run all night, and there had been around 400
I felt like
but
they were
at
supposed to
around
be
10 PM,
excluding
a group of boys
schools.
tried to force their way into the hall, and so the organisers decided to close early and they called the police. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what happened next, but all we do know is that as the flow of people had been leaving the party, according to one witness, they claimed that Stephen had been surrounded by a group of 10 to 15 boys in the street, was pushed against railings, punched twice in the head before eventually going on to be stabbed twice, once in the abdomen and then once in the chest, which penetrated his heart. It's then thought that Stephen had run to nearby Whitwell Road, where he eventually collapsed due to his injuries. Stephen's 16-year-old sister and 13-year-old brother had been attending this anti-knife crime charity party, but from what I can find in reports, I don't believe they seen the actual stabbing itself. What we do know though is that they rushed to his side and Stephen's sister cradled him as he laid dying in the street. Police were called to the scene, but believe it or not, it was only seconds after Stephen had been stabbed that police officers were on the scene. They'd been deployed and were patrolling the area as part of Operation Bland. This was to prevent the carrying of knives in the area. Paramedics arrived a short while later and Stephen was rushed to nearby Royal London Hospital, but ultimately less than an hour later he would sadly go on to lose his life. But at first it seemed as if this investigation was going to be a tough one, because although there was hundreds of people at this party, no one came forward and told police what happened. The following morning though, 16-year-old Chris Mazzacula, aka Major, and 17-year-old Risasi Nimbi were arrested and eventually charged in connection with this incident. They both pleaded not guilty, and so a trial went ahead in September of that same year in 2009. Opening up the case, prosecutor Richard Whittam QC told jurors that Stephen went to the quote back to school theme party at St Ked's Church Hall in Whitwell Road, Plaistow, and said the night should have been an enjoyable evening but ultimately ended in tragedy. A small timeline of events was laid out to the court, which we've already been over. In a bit more detail though, the prosecution said that Stephen's sister's friend had gave evidence which stated that Major had tried to gate crash the party, which led to it being shut down, and she heard him say clearly, "I've got the ting and I'm gonna use it." Eventually though, as crowds were dispersing, this is where Stephen had been set upon, and shouts of "shank" were heard by a local resident as he was attacked. The prosecution added some people appeared to be filming the event on their mobile phone. The court was also told of multiple knives being located at the scene, but from what I can see in reports, I don't believe any of these were the murder weapon. The prosecution said that the case isn't that this was an organised attack between gang members in what's sometimes referred to as a postcode war, although it may have something to do with adolescent identification with different areas. In court, it was heard that a youth worker who had been supervising the event claims that she saw Major with his friends at a takeaway half an hour after the incident, saying that he had stabbed Stephen. The prosecution would read out her testimony, which says, quote, "When she tried to talk to the group at the chicken shop, he, in reference to Major, shouted out, 'I did the stabbing,' or 'I did the murder.' But at the time, the youth worker said she didn't take that as an admission, as he was still near the scene, and also because she knew Major, she knew he joked about stuff all the time, and that's why she didn't initially report that to police." Another youth worker who was with her, though, would go on to contradict this statement, and she told the court that she never heard Major say anything. Stephen's friend had gave evidence in court and wasn't named because of his age. He said that Stephen had been threatened to be stabbed during a confrontation a couple of weeks prior to the murder by Major, who was currently on trial. The witness said that Stephen had told him that he had beef with Major, who had a knife, and wanted to, quote, "shank him." The witness claims that Stephen said on that occasion he suggested they should simply have a one-on-one fight without weapons, and said he was going to have a fight with Major, but the report doesn't continue with what allegedly happened during this confrontation. On the night of the murder, Stephen's friend, who was given evidence in court, said that he saw Risasi stab Stephen after he lunged at him and hit him twice in the chest. In a bit more detail, he said he saw Major and another youth, who was eventually cleared due to lack of evidence, attacking Stephen. He says Stephen was hit about 3 times. Stephen, according to his friend, got mad and everyone stepped back. He then ran round the corner and dropped to the ground. His friend told jurors he felt guilty for not being able to protect Stephen and said, quote, "I did my best to help him." Alex Lewis QC, defending Risasi, said, "You say it was Risasi who stabbed Stephen Lewis, but I suggest you've assumed that, fueled by speculation and rumour." The witness responded, "How do you know what happened? You weren't there." The defence also claimed that Stephen had been involved in a robbery of a 14-year-old boy on the day of the murder, and as a result of this, another boy had made a threat against Stephen Lewis. So what they were trying to say is that this 14-year-old boy and his people had a motive to attack Stephen. In court, it was heard that both Major and Risasi had claimed that Stephen had tried to stab them outside of the party, but denied attacking him, with Risasi claiming that he was being blamed by other youths for the murder. In regards to Major, all we know is that he said he never had issues with Stephen and denied stabbing anyone. He also denied being part of a gang, but said some people might label him as a gang member because of where he was from. He did go on to say that he was in a music group called Down and Dirty and was an MC though. One of the witnesses from the scene had also gave evidence and claimed that Major had been one of the people involved in the stabbing. In the testimony, she gave a description of Major.
That's a lot of he say, she say.
Multiple people, and she also gave a wrong account about his headwear and height. She would go on to say that the person she described was Major, who was on trial, but in cross-examination she revealed she didn't actually know who Major was, but had been told by someone who was with her that one of the boys in the groups was Major. After a month-long trial at the Old Bailey though, both Major and Risasi were found guilty. Major was found guilty on the murder charge, while Rasasi was found guilty on the lesser charge of manslaughter. Police had to be called on this day due to the rival gangs clashing with each other outside of the Old Bailey. The judge ordered Major's government name to be revealed because of course he was under the age of 18 at this point, and he was then handed a 17-year prison sentence for his role in the murder. And Rasasi had been handed an 8-year prison sentence for his role in the attack. So they both get prison sentences, but what happens after they get sent to prison, you might be asking yourself. Well, this is where things really started to heat up, and this is where the North versus South conflict had started. Now remember how I told you that Beckton and Custom House had issues with each other? Well, according to people who I've spoken to about this situation, they've told me that because no bodies were dropped between both sides, and Major having calmed the beef down in jail, the two joined together along with Canning Town to form Southside Newham because they all had common enemies. Since the Northside versus Southside conflict began back in 2009, there's been multiple murders and more than likely hundreds of stabbings and shootings, both fatal and non-fatal. Of course, over the past few years, there's been some high-profile murders, such as the murder of 14-year-old Corey Jr. Davis, which until today is still unsolved, and the murder of Promise and Kenda, both of these deaths getting mocked in drill music videos. Touching on drill music, the rise in popularity in the genre has also seen the war become more mainstream due to rappers on both sides giving glimpses into what exactly is going on in the streets of Newham. If you guys are not familiar with drill music for whatever reason, the two main faces of this beef would be CB from Northside Newham, who is currently serving a 23-year prison sentence for waving a shotgun at police, and Young Diz
they're playing GTA.
Southside Newham, and he's currently serving a 12-year prison sentence for the kidnap and torture of a 16-year-old boy. I've covered both of their situations on my channel, as you can see here, and I will leave those videos linked down in the description, so feel free to go and check those out. Going back to the topic at hand though, it's believed that Major is eligible for release on the 12th of November 2026, around 5 years time, and at the start of 2020, Newham Street Blogs had posted this clip of Major onto their Instagram page. If you guys don't follow Newham Street Blogs, you should definitely go and give them a follow over on Instagram.
The fuck? Oh.
I just want to get one thing straight about this whole Stephen Lewis thing. I ain't killed Stephen Lewis. I'm riding 17 years for a murder I did not commit. Facts. Although I kept my lips sealed, not said a word. Because that's how I stayed, that's how I was brought up. The other side of life come cool and rat on me and tell bareface like what they think I don't know, like 30 men were accompanying this rat. You lot a bunch of vermins, fam. Man think you can talk like you're official now. You lot are not official. Man were real steppers. Think I'll be in jail like. Man would have delivered street justice. Are you man supporting a man that who took a coward's way out? That's mad, fam. What type of justice are you delivering to Stephen Lewis's family? Huh? It's crazy, fam. I feel like I'm new skateboard right now. And why I say that is it's easy to blame the man that he's mashing the most works at the time. Get me? Come on, I was violating the borough, like let's get it right, fam. Like the Custom House boys were violating Newham borough. It's not a joke. Like they know, fam. Mid northeast, they know what time it was, fam. Yeah. And when you have a problem like that in their eyes, the only solution is to aid the police to get rid of them. I.e. me, they got rid of me like that. That's what they done. It's mad, fam. That's mad. That's mad, fam. Like, you man can't talk like you lot are Jordans, fam. Yeah, you're Jordans then and you're Jordans now. It's the kids over there that are doing the most, fam, and that's the thing though. They don't even know what they're banging out for. And I hope like someone over there has sense and sit down the orders and ask them really like what's good, like how did they really start when they got the truth out of the dirt. See that lie that sounded pretty, It looked good. And they told you the truth here, a smart individual, smart youngster would say, yo, this is long, fam. I'm about my money, man. I'm out of it, fam. Furthermore, where's the rest of the man that were there? Cause bear in mind, there was 300 people on that road. Not one person on that road can say they saw me mash the works. Not one, but this Okamene. You ask anyone, you hear a bunch of he say, she say.
I just said that.
And that's mad. That's why you see my side of things. They have no problems with stepping. But it's a brother in jail. Are you lot crazy, fam? Man's gonna bring it to you until my man's out, fam. Yeah? I'm just trying to let people know, fam, Carl. I've been quiet for a while, fam. And that was allowing people to think things and speculate and have opinions and say things and act like you know things. You don't know nothing. You don't understand this pain, this sort of pain, family, because if you didn't, be onto man from Plastow, Stratford, Forest Gate. Be onto all of them for the foul play that they committed back then. Onto man. Let man know, brother. Yo, it's not a game, fam, man. This road thing is a lie, fam. It's done out here, fam. I want these kids to wake up quick before it's too late.
We can only hope that one day Newham can become united, but the war's been ongoing for over a decade at this point, and looking at recent events that have happened only over the past year or so, with the likes of NHS worker David Gomer getting murdered in the case of an alleged unprovoked attack by a gang looking for rival gang members, it doesn't look like that's going to stop any time, but we can hope that at some point this war can die down and people can come together. Again, this video is for educational purposes and isn't to glorify anything which I've spoken about. It's just so people are aware of the origins of this war and the murder of Stephen Lewis. Now, even though over a decade has gone by, families are still hurting, and I do want to pay my respects to Stephen's family and say rest in peace, and I do want to send my condolences out to them. The war in Newham has many tales which we can look into. Of course, some of them I've already been over on the channel before, but there's loads more we can deep dive into. But
my question is, he said they was trying to get rid of him, you know. Do you think, like he said, it's 300 people that was out there, and now one person said it was, you know, him. See, I don't know. He was convicted of, you know. I don't think he accepted a plea, but I don't know. This is interesting. I gotta go more depth into this story. Question: do you think he did it or didn't? Comment down below. Just off what you see in these videos and stuff like that. Unless you live in that area.